It's January, dark and cold.
Where is the light?
And this new year's moving slow.
Where is the light?
When the sun runs off to bed too soon.
Where is the light?
And there's nothing but a skinny moon.
Where is the light? Can you tell me? Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me.
And it's dark each morning when I rise.
Where is the light?
And it's dark when my eggs are frying.
Where is the light?
And it's dark when off to work I go.
Where is the light?
And it's dark again when I get home.
Where is the light? Can you tell me? Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. It's in my skin and in my bones. It's in my heart and in my soul. That light of life so bright and golden like a summer day. When the sun goes missing in the sky, it is rising in my eyes, chasing all that winter gloom away.
Hey, I'm burning bright like kerosene.
Where is the light?
And I'm twinkling like a Pleiades.
Where is the light?
I'm dancing like a candle flame.
Where is the light?
And I'm flaming like a fruit flambe.
Where is the light? Can you tell me? Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me.
Welcome to WellSprings. I'm Adam. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm shivering with excitement for the opportunity to serve as your worship leader this morning. If you are new to WellSprings, or this is your first time joining us, a special welcome to you. We are honored that you have taken time today to join us as we gather together. I encourage you to go to wellspringsuu.org and click on New here at the top of the page. Information about us, what to expect, and what we believe can be found here. And when we worship together in person again, I look forward to meeting you. Again, we are glad you chose us. Now, each week when we gather, even when we must gather at a distance, we light a chalice, not only as a symbol of our spiritual heritage as Unitarian Universalists, but also to call upon that divine spark within each of us, both emerging and eternal, and invite it consciously to be present with us here and now. After the chalice has been lit, we'll say the words up on the screen. And together we say, we light our chalice to celebrate the path lit before us, the warmth of kindness that shines from within us, and the radiance of wisdom that is shared between us and never goes out. Good morning and welcome to this week's online service. Our mission here at WellSprings is to be a community charged full with the charge of the soul. Where is the snow? The wind chills recently have been in the single digits, but come on, where's the snow? I was really hoping for more snow this time of year in our little corner of Pennsylvania, but such is life, right? A recent snow day for my kids had me thinking about the snow days of yore. Who didn't love a snow day when we were kids? Massive snow drifts, sledding with friends, defining good snow, you know, the kind for snowballs, igloo blocks, and snowfolk. Getting sweaty and wet from the inordinate amount of layers and then capping it off back inside with hot cocoa and toast. I was fortunate where I grew up to live near a ski slope. I had a job there for a few years in high school and college in the rental shop, helping folks every day enjoy their own snow day, be it man-made or the good stuff from high in the sky. One year, the mountain ran an advertising campaign with the tagline, "Make it a snow day." It was a genius marketing campaign and featured a well-known and beloved snowmaker from the mountain that many called Big Daddy. Why Big Daddy? Well, when he entered any room, the first person he saw would hear his greeting, "Hey, Big Daddy." What they had this long-bearded, jovial, friendly, rugged, and fun-loving personality do was partake in all of the different activities you could do on the mountain. He would be zinging down the tube run and yell, "Tubing!" Hold up a snowboard and yell, "Snowboarding!" And grab a pair of skis and yell, "Skiing!" It was a wild success. Folks around town were cracking up about it. Make it a snow day. Make it a snow day. Kids will sometimes get the occasional snow day, but I think it's important that we take one ourselves. The stress of an impending snow day can definitely bring about feelings of negativity and worry. How am I going to get somewhere I need to go tomorrow? Will I have to shovel? Where is my shovel? Will a loved one be safe during the storm? These feelings are valid, and it's important to recognize them. Thankfully, Drew Leader in the book Sparks of the Divine discusses a snowy spiritual practice. When next it snows, imagine it as a cleansing energy that heals and renews the world. Or instead, especially for those in warmer climates and seasons, you can visualize an inward snow that covers over what feels grimy or jagged inside. Then, let this image be a source of positive renewal for the day ahead. If you are home, stuck with a few kids, or even by yourself, consider if you are able taking the opportunity to make it a snow day for yourself. Perhaps you've needed a source of positive renewal in your life, and that blanket of fresh powder can be just the catalyst for it. Take a walk as the snow falls and embrace the magical flakes around you. Tilt your head back, open your mouth and catch a few on your tongue. Let go a little and unleash your inner child with snowball fights, sledding, and snow angels. Use it as a way to experience the freedom of laughter and joy. I'll close my message with a snow-glorifying poem by Mary Oliver. It's called First Snow, from her 1983 collection, American Primitive. The snow began here this morning and all day continued, its white rhetoric everywhere, calling us back to why, how, whence such beauty, and what the meaning. Such an oracular fever. Flowing past windows, an energy it seemed would never ebb, never settle less than lovely. And only now, deep into night, it has finally ended. The silence is immense, and the heavens still hold a million candles. Nowhere the familiar things. Stars, the moon, the darkness we expect and nightly turn from. Trees glitter in castles of ribbons, the broad fields smolder with light, a passing creek bed lies heaped with shining hills. And though the questions that have assailed us all day remain, not a single answer has been found. Walking out now into the silence and the light under the trees and through the fields feels like one. Even though our community is gathering virtually right now, there are lots of ways to get connected and stay in touch with us throughout the week. Right now, you can see on your screen next to me all the different ways to connect with us online. And if you are new, please fill out our online connection card to learn more. The link is in the video description below. Now, over to Jessica for some things we'd like to highlight this week.
Hi WellSprings, my name's Jessica Heichel and I have 3 announcements for you this week. The first is that WellSprings 1.0 classes are coming up, which is great news for anyone who has expressed interest in membership. This is a series of 3 classes. They're all about 1 hour long, and they will take place on various Sundays right after service. The first of which is actually coming up next Sunday. So if you're interested in learning more about what it means to be a member here at WellSprings and in beginning the process of becoming a member yourself, I will put some information about our 1.0 sessions into the chat right now. And if you feel that you're going to have any scheduling conflicts or anything else that might prevent you from taking all 3 classes, I'm also putting my email address into the chat so you can write me to discuss and we can figure something out to help you. This is all leading up to our Belonging Sunday, which will be happening in April. Other announcements, just a reminder that this coming Saturday we are holding a memorial service for our friend Robert Merritt. This will be taking place on YouTube. It'll be much like a Sunday service in that the chat will be going alongside the video, and then it will be followed by a reception afterwards. I'm putting in the chat now a link to information about the memorial service and the reception. Later on that evening, we're also hosting our first ever intergenerational game night. This is a PC game night. You can do this with a computer or with a cell phone. You don't need any special equipment. And the games will be best enjoyed by folks who are around tween age and up. The games require a bit of reading and some quick strategic thinking. So hopefully you can join us for the game night on Saturday evening, and I will see everyone next week. Thank you.
At WellSprings, the foundation of everything we do is found in the power of connection, making space in our hearts and our lives for each other. This is the part of our service where we honor that connection by greeting one another. Now, we may not be able to hug and shake hands, but there are plenty of ways to greet other Wellspringers for a few moments. If you're watching this live on Sunday at 10, you can type a greeting in the chat window on the side of your screen. Maybe drop into the WellSprings Oasis Facebook group with a greeting, or snap and share a photo of yourself watching at home. Text a friend from church or make a plan to call them when the service is over. You can also plan to join us for our online coffee hour at 11 a.m. on Zoom. The link for that is also in the video description below. Now, take a few minutes to say hello to someone. I'm going to reach out to a friend to say hey, with hopes they are having a great weekend. Thank you for connecting. I am a member of the Generosity and Gratitude Ministry here at WellSprings, and I invite you now into our time of generosity, a time to reflect upon and to express our gratitude for the role WellSprings plays in our own lives and in the wider world. As we embark on this new year with renewed hope and greater understanding of ourselves and our community in these times, we hope you'll share a gift with us. If you have a smartphone handy, you can pick it up and text WSPRINGS to 73256. You'll get a link that will help you complete an online gift. There's also a link to give online in the video description below. WellSprings members, remember, the easiest and most convenient way for you to give is to set up an automated giving on Realm. It ensures your gifts enable us to continuously focus on our mission. In these times, we can't thank you enough for your support. Our offering will now be greatly received. Just as we've taken the time to share the energy of connection among us and generosity beyond us, let's now devote some time to reground into the deep and soulful energy that's within ourselves. Let's take a moment to just be. Allow yourself to sit comfortably and allow yourself to notice, perhaps for the first time today, that you are breathing. Allow your eyes to fall closed if you are comfortable doing so. And what we do is the most simple and elemental in our lives. We take a breath. We inhale and exhale without rush or hurry. We breathe in and we breathe out. There's nowhere else to go, nowhere else to be, and nothing else to do than to be here now together. We follow the words from Thich Nhat Hanh into our time of mindful silence. If we want to enter heaven on earth, we need only one conscious step and one conscious breath. Let us cultivate peace and experience presence in this quiet time together. Wherever it is that we are, Whatever it is that we are doing, however it is that we are feeling, let us remember that peace and presence are always as close to us as is our own breath. May this be so for you this moment. May it be so for you this day. Maybe it be so for you in the days to come. May it be so for all of us. When we gather in person, this is the point in our service that our kids gather for their time of fellowship in Youth Spirit. But these days, Youth Spirit is meeting on Zoom every Sunday at 9 a.m. So for now, let's see if we have any shout-outs to or from our youth in this week's Youth Spirit Yell.
WellSprings, you have all really been hanging in there through months and months of some sort of quarantine or lockdown. And in fact, we've been here for so long that you are now going to experience a milestone that many have already experienced, the quarantine birthday. WellSprings, you're 14! So anyone who's experienced a quarantine birthday or who has had to organize a quarantine birthday for somebody else knows that there are pretty much 3 elements to all of them. There is the car parade, there is the quarantine cake at home, and there's the Zoom birthday party. Happy birthday, WellSprings.
I can beat the night. I'm not afraid of thunder. I am full of light. I am full of wonder. Whoa, 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 I ain't falling under. Whoa, 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 I am full of wonder. Though our feet might ache, the world's upon our shoulders. No way we're gonna break, 'cause we are full of wonder. Whoa, whoa, we ain't falling under. Whoa, whoa, we are full of wonder. This light is contagious. Go tell your neighbors. Just reach out and pass it on. This light is contagious. Go tell your neighbors. Just reach out and pass it on. This light is contagious. Go tell your neighbors. Just reach out and pass it on. This light is contagious. Go tell your neighbors. Just reach out and pass it on. Whoa, whoa, we ain't falling under. Whoa, whoa, we are full of wonder. When everything feels wrong and darkness falls upon you, just try sing along. This is a message from Cabana. If your heart turns blue, I want you to remember that this song is for you, and you are full of wonder. Whoa, whoa, we ain't falling under. Whoa, whoa,
a few weeks ago, a friend of mine got some news that nobody wants to get these days. He found out that his family had been exposed to COVID-19. They had all been in close contact with someone who they knew was now sick. So whatever their plans were for that day, they got dropped. And my friend rushed to figure out how and where to get himself and his partner and his kids all tested for the virus. They were juggling 3 different insurance plans and contradictory information, he said, from really well-meaning healthcare professionals who were just trying to do their best. But it was frustrating and scary. They're all okay now, but they didn't know that then. And I'm aware as I tell this story that odds are some of you have had this exact same thing happen to you. I know some of you have. Or maybe this story feels a little bit like your experience just in recent days trying to figure out where to get a coronavirus vaccine. But my friend told me the whole day was just a blur. He said it was Blur's Day, but not in a usual pandemic Blur's Day kind of way. It wasn't a numb, dull, boring, fuzzy kind of day stuck within the same walls. This one, he said, was a anxious, frantic Blur's Day. He said, I've decided that one is not better than the other. They're just different kinds of blurs. The one thing that helped, he noticed, was his family's regular practice at dinner time. They pulled a frozen pizza out of the oven finally at about 8 p.m. and they sat down. And they began the simple practice that they do together every night. As they sit around the dinner table, they each share something that they are grateful for from that day. And he said it wasn't anything that was said, there wasn't any profound gratitude expressed that shifted his case of the blurs. It was just the simple rhythm of doing the thing that they have done hundreds and hundreds of times before. Of realizing, okay, we made it back to this moment, to this anchor. And he noticed his body settling, his heart rate slowing, his breathing a little easier. In that moment, he realized instead of projecting out into the future and trying to plan or remembering the chaos of the day, all he was thinking about was that he was still here and he was alive with the people that he loves. Our message series this winter, Coming Home, it is a way of reminding us all that spiritual practices really can do this. When we are able to find a practice that works for us and commit to it, just like Chris Grappi said last week, not with perfection, but with honesty and regularity and intention, we can find some peace and clarity even on the blurriest and scariest days. And we've heard so far in this series about different kinds of practices that you might try, practices that help us grow our generosity or experience life mindfully, practices that can help us create and kind of get what's inside of us out on paper. And over the next few weeks, we're going to explore practices for meal times and nourishment, for reading. But today we're going to try a practice of movement and embodiment. That's why I'm in my comfy clothes for this message. Now, I try to be careful anytime I say that anything about us is universal, but one thing I can actually say with certainty is that all of us who are here this morning have a body. Personally, for most of my life, maybe this is true for some of you, I always associated that word, talking about the body or my body, any conversation about the body, I associated it with how the body looks on the outside or how it performs, right? Talking about my body always connected back for me to the external thing, what other people saw. And so when I thought or talked about movement practices or tried them out, like dancing, exercising, for me, they all became things where I didn't even notice, but I was so preoccupied with doing it right, with how my form was, with how it looked on the outside, rather than with the internal sensation of movement itself. And that's what that word embodied, if you haven't heard it before, really means. It's about being in our bodies. An embodied spiritual practice helps us remember that this body really is our home, that everything that we experience in this life starts within and lives at the edges of our bodies. It can be a really empowering thing in a world that often tells us what's on the outside of our bodies is what really matters, to take back our experiences of our own bodies and appreciate ourselves from the inside out, rather than standing back and looking back from the outside in. Now, there are a lot of different ways to try out embodied movement practices, and a lot of different practices too. You might have heard of a field called somatics that's become more popular in recent years. It's from the Greek word soma, for the body. It's being incorporated into research by a lot of therapists, people who've got books out right now that a lot of you are reading, people like Bessel van der Kolk, Resmaa Menakem, both of whom study how the body holds trauma and how our emotions show up in our bodies over time. And embodiment is present in spiritual practices, of course. The practice of the whirling dervish in Sufi Islam. There are Buddhist forms of walking meditation that are all about embodied movement. There are Christian practices like tracing or moving through a labyrinth. But also there are more mundane, everyday spiritual practices that we may not think of as embodied, but are all about that connection with our physical selves. The postures of prayer in Islamic tradition, the practice of taking communion in a Christian church. Whether they're religious or secular, all of these practices have in common that the movement is not just about the physical work of moving the body. It's a movement that connects us to our inner experiences and to that experience of something greater than ourselves, whether that's God or the earth or community or connection for you, just something greater that holds us, literally holds our bodies. So I'm going to turn this message over, actually, in a few minutes. I thought about trying to walk you through an embodied movement practice myself, but it seemed a little silly considering, about 10% of WellSprings members are yoga teachers. I thought I would turn this message over to a WellSpringer who has real experience in this. Many of you know Gail Alba, who has been teaching a particular kind of movement practice for decades and who has led small groups and retreats here at WellSprings. Gail is a yoga teacher. And when I say the word yoga, I feel like I can already hear some of you, right? Some of you have already got your crystal quartz points arranged and you're ready on your mat. You're all set to go. You're excited. And then some of you are like, oh, yoga. Okay, guess it's time to make lunch now. When it comes to yoga, you might be, on team love the pants, not the practice. Or maybe you have tried yoga and you think you're not good at it. Or maybe the opposite. You've tried yoga and you feel like it's slow and it's boring and it's touchy-feely. It's funny, in his book, My Grandmother's Hands, Resmaa Menakem, who I mentioned before, the therapist, he says, if this stuff sounds touchy-feely, that's because it is touchy-feely, right? Embodied practices are about touch and sensation and getting out of our heads. This past year, we have lived in our heads a lot, even more than usual. We spend so much of our time literally as talking heads like this on screens. These days when our bodies are vulnerable, when we feel physical threats for so many different reasons, we need these gentle and compassionate ways to tend to our bodies more than ever. So before I turn it over to Gail, I will say if you are a yoga skeptic, I was with you for most of my life until I realized how limited my understanding of yoga really had been, mostly by the fitness industry, which is how most Americans have come to know anything about yoga. If you're curious to learn more about this, I recommend checking out a podcast that another WellSprings member turned me on to called Yoga is Dead. It's hosted by two Indian American yoga teachers, Tejal Patel and Jessel Parikh. And it's sort of an uncovering of how yoga wound its way through both the fitness industry and then later kind of the consumer spirituality industry in America. And in the process, yoga got farther and farther away from the fullness of the ancient practice in South Asia. The yoga that you might learn at a gym or even a typical yoga studio is typically an athleticized version of just one part of the yoga practice, right? It's the asanas. That's the Sanskrit word for pose, right? Asana is just one part of the 8 different parts or 8 limbs, as you'll hear Gail say, of yoga. And yoga is really an entire way of life that tries to help us unify what we experience in our bodies and in our thoughts, and in that connection to something larger or greater. So just be aware, if you are a yoga skeptic, that going to a yoga class and saying, I've tried yoga, I didn't like it, it's sort of like taking communion at a Catholic church and saying, I've tried religion and I didn't like it, right? There's a lot more to religion as a category, and there's also a lot more to yoga. So Gail is going to give you a little taste of that more today. I'll give you a moment to change into your comfy clothes if you haven't already, and of course, if you would just like to observe the practice, that's fine. But if you do try our embodied practice today, I really encourage you to try to think of it a little bit differently. To not push yourself, to not worry about getting it right. One of the nice things about being at home right now is that nobody else can see you, right? Just notice what feels good in your body. As you move, notice and get curious about whether any of the movements help you feel calm or grounded or more alive. That's what we need right now. I'll let Gail take it from here. Oh, and be aware that you may see me on screen from time to time, because I'm going to do Gail's practice along with you so you can see what it looks like to do it imperfectly, and also so you can see what it looks like to modify it for sitting in a chair. Gail's going to be on the floor, and so you can feel a little less alone, if that's helpful for you.
Thank you, Reverend Lee. Hi, everyone. I'm Gail Alba, and I'm going to bring you some tools and techniques drawn from the 8 limbs of yoga. The word yoga itself means to yoke or bring together the powers of body, mind, and spirit. The power in that is it brings a coherence into our everyday experience, that all the parts of us are moving in the same direction. I'm going to do today's physical practice from the floor. I invite you to come on down with me, either on a straight floor. If you have a mat, that would be great. I'll give you a minute to get it and get set up. If sitting on the floor doesn't feel really great for you and you need to be bolstered, a pillow. This is one that I often use. Put your seat right in the middle of the pillow, or a straight back chair. They're all great. I'm going to sit in the middle of my mat, just like so. You are going to cross your legs however it works for you. Much of what the 8 limbs of yoga really teaches is about ways of being. Practices that we can do in our mind and for our hearts. So the first thing that we recognize is that you do the best you can with your body. The point of doing anything at all with your body is to sort of get it out of the way for the rest of what you're up to. And by getting it out of the way, we do that by taking care of it, by zhuzhing it, by massaging it into ways of being that create ease. In the ease, there is self-care and self-love. So this is all part of the mind-body-spirit practice. So you've got yourself settled in. I might go a little off frame here. No bother. You'll understand what I'm doing. You're seated and you feel as comfortable as you can be, right in the middle of your body. Your spine is uplifted, nice and tall. Your shoulders are down. Let your head just rest in the middle of your body, neither too far forward nor back or side to side. And be aware that you have become aware of how you're feeling. Sitting up straight with your legs crossed is, in yoga, an asana. One, only one, of the 8 limbs that we draw from in our daily practice. Everything that we do that's movement is going to be underneath the limb of asana. So I'm going to invite you to take your arms and stretch them way up tall as you can. And feel your aliveness all the way to the tips of your fingers. Notice that you're breathing. I'm going to use my right arm and take it down to the side as I bring myself over, stretching the whole of my waist and shoulder and upper arm all the way to the tips of the fingers. And then if you can, look up, right into your elbow, and breathe. Allow yourself to know that you are opening up possibility on the left side of your body, on the left side of your being, that you can see further and be more simply through the stretch. Exhale, arm down. Arms up to the sky, same idea. Bring the hand down to the side and reach. Turn the face. Look up toward the elbow and feel the stretch all the way from your seat up through the tips of your fingers. Breathing in and breathing out. The simplicity of the hold allows your body time to settle into something that's probably new for you in this day, even though it isn't difficult or complicated. It isn't something that we normally do. So you might be finding places in your body that you were not in touch with before you did the stretch, and that really is the point. Coming back to center. We're going to take our hands, you can fold them like this or like so, and bring them under your chin. Breathing in, your elbows go up. Breathing out, your elbows come down. Drop your chin to chest. We'll do that 4 times. Breathing in and out. Again in and out. Again in and out. My eyelids tend to drop closed. Yours might as well. Last time in and out. Drop your arms. Breathing in and breathing out. Still sitting in your asana. Your breathing is pranayama, another entire limb, but anchored to something so simple as a breath that invites you to take life force in as deeply as you can, and then release it all the way out. I'm going to ask you to put your hands to your knees and create a circle with your body. So you're creating a moving asana, and you're breathing, and you're feeling, and you're feeling yourself here. Ram Dass is a teacher you might have heard of, and he wrote a book that had a saying, "Be here now." It's really a big part of this practice, to be here now. And to be here in a way that releases judgment. And for me, the releasing of the judgment is the biggest part of the practice. Releasing judgment is the biggest part of the practice. There are yamas in yoga, another limb. And there are a whole series of practices that we undo things, non-doings. One of the yamas that's a non-doing is a practice of non-violence. And I'm going to bring that onto the mat today for us. What is the most non-violent way that you can be toward yourself in your practice? I'm going to invite you to lift the spine as we did before. Turn from your waistline toward one of your thighs. If you're sitting in a chair, it's going to look different, but up here it looks the same. You've turned your body toward one of your thighs, and you're going to bring your belly toward that thigh. And that's going to look different than dropping your head. You stay uplifted, you bring your belly toward your thigh. And you're breathing in and you're holding that posture. Some of you can go all the way down. If I do that, I'll go off frame. That's okay. You can see that the back is flat as you can make it. And you're wherever you can be. And you're going to hold that and breathe for a moment. So the practice of ahimsa, or nonviolence, which we often think of as being nonviolent to the world outside of us, something that most of us, it would simply be part of us. We wouldn't wish to be violent to the world outside. But I'm inviting us on the mat to really look at what's going on inside of our minds. And an act of nonviolence toward yourself in your yoga practice means that you are clearly and absolutely in love with yourself in the way that you can be in the movement right now. You're breathing your fullest breath. It's filled with life, and you're happy with that. It is your maximal ability in this moment. And you allow yourself to be happy with that. And if you are so relaxed and so released that your movement is all the way down wherever you can imagine it to be, that's great. But you still have more to go in the ahimsa of the mind. Where can you go and release yourself from judgment? So I bring you back up with that and back into the center of your body, because we're going to go to the other side in a moment. I invite you to do this circle again, round, and maybe you're looser. I'm going to put a parenthesis here for those of you that have long-term stuck places. In my own body, it was my low back for many years. It is no longer my low back, and I can only credit the simple movements like this, spinal rotations and spinal twists, that unlocked the experience of pain in my back, even though my x-rays will still tell you that it didn't really fix itself at all. But I'm not in the perception of pain because my body moves freely, and this is something that you can do for you. So you come back to the center of your experience and you lift your body up and you turn your core toward that opposite leg. Breathing in, lifting up, breathing out, flat back, very flat back, pressing body toward the thigh. You might be coming down a little bit. You might be coming down a lot. A side note, I feel my body adjust. I already mentioned my low back. I feel the adjustments. It sounds like a little bit of a click, 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 click as I go down, inch by inch, and you may find that for yourself. Something unwinding, some of the fuzz that collects around our adjuncts where muscle meets bone, just releasing. And you're breathing in and out. And again, I invite you, what's going on in your mind? The practice of ahimsa is the non-violence toward yourself. But what might you put in its stead? I am blessed. Breathing in, breathing out. The universe has my back. Breathing in, breathing out. I am appreciative of all that I am. Breathing in and breathing out. And allowing yourself to come back up again, sitting in the middle of your circle. I'm going to ask you to put your hands behind you or on the sides, wherever you can adjust yourself so that you're feeling balanced. We're going to take our legs up and out. See if you can do it by contracting and supporting your movement with your belly. Up and out. Shifting weight. Lifting your rib cage up. Similarly to what we did on each side, we're going to bend forward. This is just called a seated forward flexion. That's the asana, the movement. The breath is a deep, balanced breath, the same that you've been doing, breathing in and breathing out. And let your body come down as close as you can, belly toward the thighs. I'm giving you this one because for most of us, this is a practice that you can bring with you over time. Your belly will get closer to your thighs, your heart will get closer to your knees, and your chin will get closer to your shins with time. It's rather fun to bring this to your mat every day and see how long it will take before where you are today is simply no longer. You'll be further forward in a rather short amount of time if you simply give yourself the time to do the practice. So with that in mind, coming back up, we're going to bring our legs back into cross-leg position. Arm comes overhead, behind you, arm on opposite leg. Turn toward the back and breathe. I'm going to invite you to simply know that we can count 8 counts on each of these movements. You can do that to keep your own point of focus. Coming back, arm up, around, and behind. And give yourself a little 8 count. Coming back to center. A last breathing technique. We're only going to do this a couple of times, but I invite you to take about 5 minutes after this practice and when you're on your own. 2 fingers at the base of your eyebrows. The ring finger and the thumb are tamps. Breathe in through your left. It's called alternate nostril breathing. Tamp, breathe out through your right. Now breathe in again through your right. Tamp, Breathe out through your left. In left. Tamp. Out right. In right. Tamp. Out left. Again, in left. Tamp. Out right. Out in right. Tamp. And release. Alternate nostril breathing. You can look up some of the science of it. Connects left body side to right brain functioning, right body side to left brain functioning. It is the most magnificent tool for creating emotional balance. Something so simple. All that I release is released from me. All that I need, I bring toward me. And you balance that left side and right. The last thing that I want to share with you is a little bit on Namaste. The limb of Niyama is a limb that invites us to add rituals of practice. And I would invite you to what are your rituals of practice, the ones that we did today and ones that might come forward from what we did today. The one I want to give you is Steya, non-stealing. And it is the niyama that invites us in non-stealing to not steal from others. The peace that I'm going to bring forward is the not stealing of peace. To just not be about stealing other people's peace. But in that same niyama is the non-stealing of your own peace. The non-stealing of your own peace. I truly wish to leave you with that. To practice that. And whatever any of these practices have meant to you, it can be fun if you share them in the comments, which one works for you. We're still in an asana. While I'm speaking, you can repeat something that we did today or add something else onto your practice while we're still here. And I want to read to you a little bit. One of the books that I'm reading, one of many, Dying to Be Me, Anita Marjani. By expanding our awareness on an individual level, we will be affecting change on a universal level. Each one of us is like a single thread in a huge tapestry, woven in a complex and colorful pattern, and we may be only one strand, but we are all integrated in the finished image. We affect the lives of others just by choosing whether or not to be our true selves. Our obligation to others. Our only purpose is to express our uniqueness and allow others to do the same. Realizing that the light, the magnificent universal energy is within us and in us will change us because we are open and ready. If that doesn't express the essence of Namaste, I don't know what does. So the spirit in me sees and salutes the spirit in you. Enjoy your practices, and I send you blessings. Namaste.
Gail, thank you so much. I want to invite us all to close out our practice this morning by taking a moment to join me in the spirit of prayer. Maybe you want to close your eyes and rest. Relax your shoulders, bow your head. God who formed us, who created all of the matter and material that is in this whole universe and in our bodies. May we feel that electricity when days are blurry or scary, when the world seems big and we seem small and numb inside. May we remember that our bodies are literally connected to everything else, that we are made up of the same stuff as the moon and the stars and the trees and the people around us. And may we remember when we feel that real vulnerability of our bodies, that tenderness, even the threats to our safety and our health. May we remember that we can practice noticing and appreciating and loving a different story within our own bodies. One where we are alive and at rest and safe. One where we know that we are whole, just as we are. And where this moment in this body can feel like enough. For these prayers I've spoken out loud, and for the prayers each of these people with us this morning carries on their hearts, we say amen.
Oh, time hold still when I in awesome wonder consider all the splendor of this world. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, the marvels of the universe displayed. Then sings my soul for all the mystery. Awake my heart, awake my heart. Then sings my soul for all the mystery. Awake my heart, awake my heart. When through the woods and forest glades I wander and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees. When I look down from lofty mountain grandeur and hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze, then sings my soul for all the mystery. Awake my heart, awake my heart. Then sings my soul for all the mystery. Awake my heart, awake my heart.
The light of our chalice may go out, but the source that sparked it stays within each of us. And together we say, as we release this flame from its faithful service today, we allow that spark in each of us to burn on, to warm our compassion, to fire our delight, and to light our paths today, tomorrow, and always. Friends, I hope to see some of you in your soft clothes at our coffee hour on Zoom at 11 o'clock. And until then, find some peace, hopefully inside of yourself, and stay well.